said bunge. But what is the bar? How high is that bar? And is it the season? In this season of football, all eyes are in Africa and on Africa. Ours is set too on Harambee, but the show right here must obviously go on. Even as the split in the Jubilee Party becomes more apparent. But who is playing who? A substantive deputy president complaining of his cabinet secretaries? Tonight, the conversation also takes us inside the Jubilee Wars. Later, my panel reflects on an artistic impression, and on Time Bar, we remind you some of the most controversial, intriguing, and disturbing political assassinations of our time. And so tonight, we add our voice to the debate on putting civil servants on contract. The Public Service Commission's decision to radically change the terms of employment for government workers is bound to elicit stiff resistance. In the new plan, the government will henceforth employ people on contract for 3 years and only renew subject to their good performance. Now, unions, politicians, and human rights groups certainly will challenge this plan. That's if they have not gone to court. That is profound and completely transformative. It will transform the public sector employment, which has traditionally been permitted or permanent. It's always been permanent, and pensionable. But tough times obviously call for tough decisions. The government has been a default employer, trusted, and although not the most preferred, it's valued and also respected. Now, this decision is informed by concerns of raising wage bill that, unless controlled, threatens to get out of hand. High wage bill has the effect of crowding out other expenditures and undermining the government's ability to roll out the capital developments. Indeed, at a time of declining revenue collection, the imperative is to cut and rationalize costs, and that means critically examining, among others, the headcount and compensation schemes. But challenges abound. First, the Public Service Commission must brace itself for court battles from unions that will not take the matter lying down. Not when there are indicators that the government loses money through weak and porous controls, making it meaningless to stop employing workers on permanent terms. Now, the second thing is that the Commission must reconcile its policies within the government overall development agenda. On one hand, the government talks of creating jobs and becoming the employer of choice, yet at the same time, it resorts to short-term contracts that makes employment less attractive. And should the policy take root, it is likely to be taken up by private sector employers and cumulatively alter labor practices. But that is a matter for another debate and another day. The third one, this is not the time or the first time the government is undertaking such drastic measures to rationalize public service. For instance, major retrenchments were carried out in the 90s under the structural adjustment programs propagated by the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, which led to massive job cuts. However, that never improved public spending on workers. The lesson, therefore, was that some of these initiatives are only good on paper. In essence, therefore, the policy change must be accompanied by other programs. Further, there is need to control employment at the counties, which are reportedly having bloated headcounts and consuming huge sums of money and collectively contribute to high public sector wage bill. Transforming the public service is inevitable to enhance productivity, but this requires well thought out and judicious decisions. Tonight, we borrow our quote from the words of Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. As with all matters of heart, you'll know when you finally find it. My guests tonight, Babu Owino, Arnold Maliba, Millicent Omanga, and Sylvanus Osoro. My name is Ken Mijungu. Welcome to our program tonight. Join the conversation. The hashtag, as always, is Sidebar. At NTV Kenya, at Ken Mijungu, and the assembly is now convened.
Who are these young parliamentarians who go to the media and say, You know, we are unable to talk because we don't get chance.
That I hear that the young members are not given much opportunity to discuss on sensitive matters, especially when the speaker himself is on the seat. When any other member is on the seat, it is easier. But the speaker himself is a bit selective when it comes on matters sensitive.
You cannot indict the Speaker of the National Assembly.
Mimi hiyo bunge ninacheza role kubwa sana kwa sababu kuna mambo mingi yakitaka kupitishwa ila muhimu huwa tunapatikana kule bunge, but we are not idlers.
All right, very interesting observations there from our members of parliament. Let me begin with the performance index. Let me try and get it. Maliba will speak to you shortly. Let me begin from Millicent Omanga. You are one of the most active members at your committee. Leave that for now. The ranking that you saw last week, does it reflect the real deal in parliament?
Definitely it does not reflect. And anyone would tell you 80% of parliament work is on committees. And if you've seen me active, I'm in one of the most powerful committees of the Senate, the watchdog of the Senate, and we are always live. And you see what we do there. And even most of these bills, which come to the floor of the House, originates from the committee. And we work on them for them to come to the floor of the House. And I'm very active in the House. I was actually surprised, but maybe the Nation newspaper wanted to sell. And that's where they decided to throw in my name there so that maybe they can be able to make sales.
But this was a research from Zalendo Trust. It was a Nation. How do you say Nation?
But they've said I've spoken like 15 times. So what I'm wondering is, because they're counting the number of times someone speaks. So do they rate us on the quantity or the quality?
On the quality. All right. Babu, I have seen you on the floor of the House, but finally, I didn't see your name appear as the most active members of parliament.
Thank you, Ken. First, I must thank the Almighty God for giving me this opportunity to come and air my views with you and fellow Kenyans. When it comes to matters legislation, Ken, when I was elected, I was not elected on a competition basis. I was not elected to come to the floor of the House, to the Parliament, to compete with any member of Parliament. And Ken, it is not about Babu being number one on matters legislation or being number last. It is not about Babu competing on Honorable Osoro or Babu competing on Honorable Millicent or any other member of parliament. As Babu Owino, when I was elected to ensure that I legislate, to serve the interest of the people of Embakasi East and the Kenyans, to ensure that my people get accessible roads, get clean water, get jobs. Children, the learners and the students should be given an opportunity. The same opportunity that I got to study should be given an opportunity to get the bursaries so that they can advance their education. As Babu Owino, when we come back to the floor of the parliament, actually I was very much disappointed because I wasn't ranked anywhere. None of the performers, nor the last person, which means they
like
ignored
the middle
me.
ground. No,
which means they ignored me. And ignoring me, Ken, is such a sad thing because we've seen so many motions that I've sponsored on the floor of the House. Number one, the motion on salary increment on our policemen and women. These people have been working, putting their lives on the line for the sake of the Kenyan citizens. They have families that they need to take care of. So when we increase their salaries, at least the index of corruption that has always been high on the police force, so the police service, is going to reduce tremendously. Number two, the motion on the help increment. Education is enshrined in the Kenyan Constitution, which means that it is the role of the government to educate its Kenyan citizens, and it should be free. That is where I came up with a motion to ensure that the help that is given to students, one, is not refundable. Number two is that there should be an increment because the living standards increases every year, and the last time that it was revised was in 1998. Number three, Ken, today when I spoke in Parliament, I talked about a petition about my people, the people whose houses, whose properties were destroyed by the government in Choka and Mihangu. And there's also on compensation, not compensation, but rewarding the community health workers who've been working, but they are not paid. Nobody recognizes them.
In other words, you can trace what you have been doing on the floor of the House.
So clearly, I've been very active on the floor.
Okay.
So about Mzalendo, maybe it is Mzalendo with an asterisk.
Okay. Okay. You found a good explanation, Mheshimiwa Silvanus,
Yes.
on this. You said that perhaps it's even hard with 341 members of parliament. It's sometimes hard to find, to catch the eye of the speakers. That's just one of the explanations that members of parliament have given. But you are also ranked as someone who does not perform well on the floor.
I was ranked among the best.
Among the best, sorry.
Yes.
But I want your opinion, sorry. You were ranked as one of the persons who speak most. But you speak most inside parliament and out of parliament too. But let's go inside parliament. Do you think this ranking was justified to look at what they do on the floor?
The truth of the matter is I have mixed reactions over the same. And in all honesty, I also got surprised to miss some honorable members who speak very well in parliament, missing in that whole list. In as much as I'm part of it, I shouldn't just say that it was authentic. Because I'm not like in defense of Honorable Babu Owino, but he seconded motions that I've sponsored. So clearly he has spoken.
Okay.
I've seconded motions that he sponsored. So clearly he has spoken too. Mm-hmm. I didn't really get to understand the rationale or the way they authenticated the whole thing. But again, I think there was another formula perhaps they used, because we not only speak in motions, I think the Hansard records the discussions in the committee, just like Honorable Millicent has said, because legislation is so serious, mostly actually in the committees, and even in the committee of the whole House, not just on the floor. Because again, motions might not be actionable even when you push them. What happens is that you need to go extra, an extra mile and have them now transformed as bills. And bills now requires a committee. Now, members of parliament are paid some sitting allowance to appear in the committees. Actually, if you miss in the House for some consecutive sittings, your seat could be declared vacant. So all the members of parliament go to parliament, they sit in the committees. I've been in a committee, I see all the members of parliament in the committees, and very supportive in different areas. Maybe perhaps then it could be that the competition is a bit very high, and the marking scheme was on half-mark competition, that it couldn't feature every person. But the truth of the matter is, when I saw Honorable Babu Owino miss, now I'm speaking about the National Assembly, in that list, when I saw Honorable Anthony Oluoch miss in that list, Anthony Oluoch miss in that list, I really, even if my name was there, I got shocked. Because, I mean, they ought to be there.
Okay,
exactly.
They ought to be there. Let me speak to Maliba. Listening to the lady and the gentleman here, do you get a sense of justifications?
Well, the methodology in itself has got a few things. There is no day you're actually going to do a research that captures every metric. So I realize what they actually focused on a lot is actually the plenary, guys showing up in the plenary. But so you look at that, and 20% is actually a lot of marks. If you ever started an exam with 20%, you know exactly where you end. So I think it's not so much of a big issue, but then probably you need to probably look at them as individuals. I think Babu works very well on the ground. He has also been very vocal in the House. The one thing that he actually needs to improve on would be probably the number and probably the type of bills and the debate he gets on. She feels that they really didn't feel good, or rather they really didn't look around these issues very well of her. But I think she has also spoken. So the people who went to Parliament and took the oath of silence are the people I really hoped would be here. The guys who have not spoken, they were there.
If they don't speak in Parliament, they don't speak here.
But leadership is simply communication. Leadership starts and ends with communication. So they got that by virtue of communication somehow.
It should be an all-rounder kind
So
of...
I'm thinking we need to look at it not just quantitatively, but also qualitatively. Because you can make a lot of noise, but then there is not so much to it. Okay. So again, when he mentions Anthony, he says Anthony should not have missed.
Yes.
They just rated a few guys. You cannot all have all names. And these guys are so many. If you've been to Parliament recently and you go there sometimes, There are so many guys, you will actually think that it's actually Parliament Road Secondary School. Those guys are mimic. So even getting, catching the eye of the speaker is not much
really
easy.
hard. It's really
and
hard. Yeah.
Parliament is so big than most secondary schools in this country. In totality, those guys are so many. So I know there's the challenge around that, but probably we need to also be fair. When Duale stands here and says that young people are letting down others, what has Duale done to empower and represent his age mates?
All right.
Is he doing
I
it
want,
any
to
different?
I want to talk about
I responded to Duale's
criticism of young parliamentarians.
right on the floor of the House, and you've even played that clip here. You know, for Honorable Duale, by virtue of his position, and I think most people think that he's got so high debative skills because by virtue of his position, he
Let's only talk about Duale.
He enjoys. No, I'm just saying that.
We know he doesn't have to respond to here
because he enjoys.
Yes.
He enjoys utmost timing, or rather speaking time in Parliament.
With his position as majority leader.
As majority
His
leader.
space is actually ring fenced.
Exactly.
Yes.
That any time he places his card on the machine and the speaker sees his name
Give him
there,
priority.
He'll give that.
Right.
He'll give him priority,
Regardless.
and he'll speak every now and then. And that also cuts across all the leadership of the houses,
Okay.
both in the
Including
Senate, any
chairpersons
person
and all.
Exactly.
Yes.
So you realize, by the way, that he gets chance to even speak about women's handbags.
Exactly. He
As
speaks,
in,
he
all
speaks
manner
everything.
of, so if that is how he's representing his age
And you
mates,
see,
then
and you see something else. Just to cut you short, we sit in Parliament from 2:30 to about 6:30, thereabout. Now Duale has about 20 minutes to speak. If Mbadi comes in, he has 20 minutes to speak. The House leadership itself will take about 4 hours to speak. Yes, the House leadership, or 3 hours. So we are left to compete.
30
All the
minutes.
other members, we are left to
30
compete for 30 minutes. Only.
Whereby you're
400
given
members.
a minute. How long is
You're
it?
even now told to speak for a minute. I tried to move, and it's even recorded in the standing orders, that I tried to lower I tried to push that we lower the speaking time for Honorable Mbadi. I tried Honorable Mbadi because after the handshake. Because I felt now that they are both speaking for government, then it should have his time lower.
Cut to
And
10.
if you not, both of them,
Yeah.
they ought to have shared. No, they ought to have shared the 15 minutes accorded for either of them.
Okay.
To have 7-7 because
Because
they're all
there's
speaking.
no opposing
There's no
side.
there's
They
no
are all
opposing side.
government.
They're all government.
And they're talking
But
about
they take positions.
I
They
think
take different
Honorable
positions.
Mbadi has
Yes.
more content than Honorable Duale. So
Ken,
He should be allowed to speak.
should be
we
allowed to
also
speak more.
we also should not run away from the fact that there are young people who are in Parliament and they are doing a lot of nothing. We should not
I'm
run away
coming
from
to that. I'm coming to that. I want to talk about that.
There,
but
I know these guys have got colleagues there, and they are our common friends, so they might not be able to name names.
But
But there are people in Parliament
Hold your
who
thought.
took an oath of silence,
silence in
and we
Parliament.
need to.
Okay.
I want to dispute that fact a little bit.
Can I play Duale's soundbite and then we
Yes.
come and talk about this because I want to open it for discussion now. Let's listen to this.
The committee of the whole house is the single most item on the order paper where serious legislation and lawmaking takes place. How many of us are in the house? We are hardly 35. We are hardly 50. So where are they? The house is empty. So you cannot blame, they have taken legislation to funerals and to rallies.
All right, you did hear it quite well. We're going to try and repeat that soundbite. But you want to defend that position?
Not even defend that.
Yes.
If you look at that sound clip, he's asking about the presence of the young members of Parliament in the House right from his office. So he's questioning that where are they? He's
actually
seated.
imagining.
He's imagining.
They are
He's
not
actually seated
there.
there.
But he sits in Parliament, in the National Assembly. So he sees them from where he sits.
Oh no.
He has had
Let me tell you what Honorable Duale on this one, I totally, and with a lot of respect, disagree with him.
Okay.
Just as I disagree with what he said,
What
that there are
Maliba
members
says.
of Parliament
Who have taken an oath of silence.
That is a lie.
Okay, Babu, Owino, from where you sit,
one or two. Do you know that?
Duale is able to see who's present and who's not present. And the media is able to see who's present and who's not present. Most of the time, Parliament is not even half empty, probably is operating on a third.
I think, Ken, there are rules in Parliament whereby if a member misses for a period of 8 consecutive times, then this member of Parliament, the position is declared vacant by the Speaker. That shows you clearly that members of Parliament have been attending Parliament. And there are those who probably, because of one reason or the other, some are traveling back to their constituencies, some are out of the country. There are various reasons why the House will never be full at any specific time.
Except the time they have a common agenda.
No, not even that. Not even that.
That bitterness that Duale has among the youth. Probably.
young
Actually, it's not only the youth, even women. The other
women.
day, he was talking about
Probably
women.
as the young members of parliament, we surprised him by being elected in the House. And I would like to challenge him and say that his constituency, I'm sorry to say, but the number of camels are more than the number of people.
Really,
so
Babu,
dealing with those votes is not easy.
Babu, you can't say that.
But he got 2,000 votes.
You can't say that.
I have over 150,000 registered voters.
You can't say that. That's not a fair statement.
Now, probably when he looks into that and says that this young man was elected by many votes than I was elected.
No. I don't think.
I think that is Silvanus, wrong. I'm going to come to you. I want to listen to Honorable Omanga. Same thing from where he sits. Perhaps he hasn't seen much of the members of the National Assembly. I know you sit in the Senate.
But, we also have so many other things to do.
But that's an excuse, Millicent.
No, it's
that's
not
an excuse. So many things to do.
We are working for Mwananchi.
What is the core? What is the main responsibility of a member of parliament according to the constitution?
Oh no,
yes.
Legislation.
95, yeah?
95 and 96.
Yes.
95,
but
yes.
if I've gone and I'd maybe my motion, I've moved my motion, or I'd my statement, I've moved my statement, and then I'm told there's fire in Madare, will I still sit in that house when my people are suffering down there? I have to go get the county fire engine, try to get them and put up the fire in Madare. If there's something else, I've got programs which run every day. Actually, I've got mentorship programs, the boy child program, which I do under Omanga Care. So these are things I do every day. So when I do my daily work, when I get to parliament at 2:30 and maybe at my statement, I finish by around 4, then I can come out in the evening and
do something
else. Yeah.
Okay.
There is something I wanted to refute a bit about what Honorable Babu has said. I don't think Duale is speaking from the point of hate per se to the young people, because himself, he was actually elected at 30. He's not very old. When he first came to parliament, he was 32. He's served. No, he's not. He served 3 terms.
3 times.
Yes. No, he's in his towards 50s. Just early 50s. And when he first got elected,
and this is the problem with young people. He is now here defending a
guy
who besmirched young people.
Hold on. What I'm saying is this: for him, I think the challenge for him is this: he's comparing times wrongly. That very time when he came to parliament, the House had very few members of parliament, and it was very easy for every person to speak. Now, right now, it's becoming very unfair because he knows the number of members of parliament in the House. It has doubled, so he's looking at it and he's getting shocked that when he was elected, he could get an opportunity to speak.
When he came to parliament first as a young person, the House had better House leadership.
Okay, that is another thing, and I think that is why you haven't even raised. Yeah. The challenge again we have, I think we've been profiled, and I do not, with a lot of respect. Yes, with a lot of respect to
Honorable Duale just has a problem, because there's a motion that you sponsored the other day, the motion that I seconded, and you could hear the way Duale was speaking. Actually, was against that motion spiritedly. What does that tell you?
No, I saw
when
him.
I went to second, he started telling me to sit down, and I told him, my friend, we have equal responsibility in this parliament, and I cannot sit down because it is my role to legislate.
There is a sense of truth, and there's a sense of truth on this. When you appear like you are trying to rise or competing with people who are a bit older than you, there's an age group that will always try to put you down. They wonder, how are you here? And that is the first age group that will fight you. Those people who are a bit mature than you and older than you. There is also an age group, your age mates, the age group will always fight you because they wonder how you got there and they are struggling. It's a common thing that happens. But for Duale, on those statements, it was a bit unfair to the young people. I'm
coming to you, Maliba. But Babu, before we take a break, you mentioned 8 sittings, consecutive sittings, right?
Yes.
There are members of parliament who do 7, who miss 7 and come for 1 and start afresh. Do you agree?
But you see, in a season is a whole year. So it means that even if they miss those 7s and come for the 8th,
yes,
that one that the person is present in the chambers
counts.
At least it counts.
At least it counts.
So we need not to say that these members of parliament are missing these sittings because they like.
And actually also in committees.
These people,
I'll talk about the committees and the working
these people
committees.
actually were elected to come and legislate and serve the interest of the Kenyan citizens. And these people, in most occasions, there are some of those motions which are irrelevant to specific areas. For example, if somebody is talking on an area, probably in area outside Nairobi, and I know very well that the motion is not affecting majority of the Kenyans, and to be specific, also residents of Embakasi's constituency. So you'll find that you will not spend so much time debating on that motion.
But if you were elected a member of parliament, you have been elected with Embakasi East, right?
Yes.
Once you're in parliament, you legislate for the whole country.
That's why I said
not for Embakasi,
interest,
not for Embakasi. So why would you shift your
But you
interest?
see,
That's why
the
we have
motion
committees.
could be not popular. Maybe the motion is not popular to the rest of the Kenyans.
Okay.
Maybe the motion is just for a specific interest of a specific constituency. For example, sinking a borehole in one of the constituencies.
That cannot be discussed in parliament, would it?
They
People
always
ask questions.
discussed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a
It comes
form
as
of
a
There was a
statement.
motion
Someone
the other
has
day.
come and
There was a
Or even a
motion the
question.
other day where a member of parliament was seeking that his area be declared as an area where everybody should be paid.
It's a hardship area.
Hardship area, exactly. So how does that affect Embakasi's constituency or the rest of the Kenyans?
The rest of the country,
Which
Maliba.
means this person was going for specific interests,
Okay.
only for his constituency.
Okay.
Well, initially, before he actually cut me off, I was saying that there are a number of young people who honestly are in parliament, and as much as we are on national television and we want to act politically correct, a number of them are not doing good work. Two, there's a reason why we have got committees. And the committee system ensures that a legislature works effectively because a committee allows people to pick committees where they have got interest. It allows expertise. If I am probably an engineer, I would want to go to the roads and transport. And it ensures that people have got interest and put in a lot of time. That is where a lot of technical work is done. If it were in the media, it's in the committee where the sub-editor lives, who is the word technician. They work through all that process. The committee of the whole house is a good place. It's actually the show, the mirror where we have to look at what they are doing. And sometimes those guys show up and they don't say so much. I remember some day when Millicent was having a conversation and Gideon Moi, who also has not been really rated well, was asking a question about Omanga. And then so, guys, really that's the committee of the whole house and guys are, it's prime time, it's prime time. But it's time that is protected and they are right to be around there. So it should not just be about what you say and how you show up. We also need to look at what you actually are putting through. Because talking outside there, you can actually be out there and we're doing a lot of hate speech. Like our friend Jaguar, a guy who doesn't even know where his boundary of his constituency
Jaguar
ends.
is not here, with all fairness.
So
He's not here.
that's what I'm just saying, that, but then he will actually be looked at as a very active person.
Because
so
he's speaking
today,
outside.
the Tanzanian government is actually responding. So a stupid thing by a member of parliament in the name of a young person is actually giving us a diplomatic tiff. Yet, we have got a lot of Kenyans who are in Tanzania working. So are we going to sit here and say that he's an active person, saying a lot of hate speech on that end?
Okay.
Some other people showing up in the house and saying a lot of nothing.
Arising on points of order.
Okay,
You see-
maybe Ken,
Yes.
if I would respond to him, because he's saying young people don't do, I don't know.
I said a
Some,
few.
some.
I said a
Yes. Not all
few.
of them.
I actually
And we
don't
are
know
not,
what
and we are not
maybe
bold
he
enough
means.
to say who they are.
I wouldn't know what you mean
Yeah.
by good, and how would you rate this? Because talking about that you have to stand and talk, because I can imagine they were counting, Zalendo was counting how many times you've spoken in the house. And most people, sometimes we have visiting students who come to the Senate. So every time, our tradition is to welcome the students. So every time people are given chances to actually welcome the students. And there are people, their work, you come in, you welcome the students, and Mzalendo would tick you that you've actually stood, you welcome the students. And you could, every day, actually we have visiting guests. We have members of parliament who visit, and you stand, you say, oh, this country, I've been there, and da-da-da-da, and all this. And they're counted that they've spoken, and that's what I was saying.
My question
what
was,
are we looking at? Is it the quality, the content, or
They're
is just
about-
the
or the
number
number
of
of
times?
times.
There are about
I've stood
2-3
to welcome
members.
students in the
There are
Senate.
about 2-3 members, if I remember very well, who have said nothing. What will you say of those guys?
But
Who
you're
haven't
talking
spoken
about,
completely.
They're also in
you're
the
saying
committees.
about good, and
Oh,
that's
yeah,
what I was
active in the
saying.
committee.
If our committee work counts 80%, then how would you rate a member of parliament within the 20%? Then it is unfair. Because
right.
with all this media publicity and all that, it's getting to us, the young people and the women.
Okay.
You know?
Ken, there's something on that.
No, let her finish. And they'll keep on saying, oh, we nominated you because of this, because there's nothing between your ears. But you do quite a lot. You do quite a lot. And Ken, it's very unfortunate because your own TV here, Nation, you are there when we're in committee. It's normally
live.
It is actually live, and you see what we do, grilling those governors, doing our oversight work, and all that. And that does not count. It is this thing of standing and speaking.
Whether you say something,
or you stand and cough.
I want to come to you, but a senior member of parliament, that is Peter Kaluma, says in a presidential system, parliament likely works and decides in the committees. The plenary is for drama, mainly to validate decisions made in the committees. The current MPs do not legislate but also represent oversight, government and budgets. This is in addition to seeking solutions to issues of concern to the people, most of which involve interacting and interceding for people with other arms and departments of government. It is wrong for anybody to rate members of parliament on mere plenary attendance. Bodies rating parliamentary performances need education and roles and functioning of the members of parliament. That is Mheshimiwa Kaluma speaking to me, send me a text. I want to take a break. When I come to you, I'll begin with you because I know you want to respond to this. But share your opinion online at NTV Kenya, at Ken Mijungu. The hashtag, as always, is Sidebar. We're going to look at some of your comments next.
We fear our political, parties.
Times we might not really sit in parliament to completion. There is a lot that we do. The way our system is crafted, we need to lobby for us to get development. Lobbying does not mean sitting in parliament.
And I've come up with a motion meant to reduce retirement age from 60 to 50, because I do believe that one of the ways that will create employment for the youth.
Mimi hiyo bunge ninacheza role kubwa sana, kwa sababu kuna mambo mingi yakitaka kupitishwa ila muhimu huwa sisi tunapatikana kule bunge. But we are not idlers. Nataka niambia kuna watu wa Kiingereza mingi wale tumewachia hiyo kazi ya bunge. Wale marafiki zetu kutoka upande wa Nyanza, kutoka ile makona zingine, kuna watu wanasungukianga hapo bunge. Lakini tuko na kazi mingi ya kufanya. Sijasikia complaint kutoka kwa wananchi, kutoka kwangu. Na hiyo bunge haiwezi leta chakula hapa Kapseret. Kazi ninafanya ndio inatakana nifanye hapa.
Okay, I hear a lot of justifications, but let me read for you part of the story that Honorable Omanga was speaking about. Despite drawing millions of shillings in salary allowances, 10 members of parliament have never spoken on the floor of parliament, according to the Hansard report. In the new report that focuses between September 2017 and December of 2018, 45 members of parliament made less than 10 contributions in the plenary, despite each of them having drawn at least 16 million shillings in salaries and allowances. Some of the MPs are seldom seen in parliament, so much that all these often harass them, mistaking them for strangers in parliament. And one of the concerns of Duale, and I know you want to speak about this, one of the concerns of Honorable Duale is that the committee of the whole house is the biggest committee of parliament, not the small committees that you are active, but your presence is needed in parliament, the plenary.
First and foremost, I want to agree with my learned senior Honorable Kaluma on what he's said. He's actually made it very clear that it's not just about the plenary, and the committees equally matter. And by the way, you'll need to know this, and it's very important for every person to know that members are paid to sit. That just getting into the house and signing, you get some allowance, some sitting allowance. Getting into the committee, you get some sitting allowance. So lying to the public that there are people who hardly make it or go to the plenary or to the committees, it's a lie, because you've all been saying that members of parliament want money, they're money hungry, and that's why they get to the house. But again, let me tell you something, Ken, that this is some kind of misconception that people do not really know. First and foremost, on the assertions of Duale about the committee of the whole house, I agree with him. They are very serious business. That the committee of the whole house is where amendment of bills are pushed and everything. But even him, you can hardly see him in that committee of the whole house. By the way, it's about 20 or 50 or 100 members of parliament that come, and you hardly see the house leadership in the committee of the whole house. And Duale falls within that, unless it's the bill that is being pushed by the executive, that is the president or any person. Any other thing that is not from the executive, you can hardly see the Honorable Duale in the committee of the whole house seated in parliament. And this is doesn't really mean that it doesn't work. Besides that, there are other things that we do. Do you know that sitting in a committee, sitting or going for a committee meeting, whether, like for example on a Tuesday morning, is equitable to attending plenary sitting? I mean, you are presumed to have come to parliament that very day. Okay. So I do not know how the rationale that all these people who are talking about whole committee of the whole house and everything, and speaking in parliament, where they get that one from.
Okay. Can we end this discussion?
I still insist that this is not about competition, because when we were elected, one, we knew that we were coming to legislate. Those who are not legislating, they know, and the people are waiting for them after a period of 5-year contract. So those who have not been speaking in parliament, I think the people will judge them after their period of 5 years. As at now, when I speak about Babu Owino and not defending any other person in parliament, because when I was going there, I didn't know who I was going to meet there. Personally, as Babu, I've delivered for my constituents. In fact, the work that I ought to have delivered in 5 years, I've done it in 2 years. And I'm still doing it. So you can imagine, Ken, I don't want us to get involved that who speaks better than which other person, who doesn't speak, and who comes to parliament and who doesn't come to parliament. I just believe that every honorable member of parliament, they know their roles. They know what they should do. They know why they elected, and they know why they went for that position.
Okay.
I still believe that probably, as we sum up with this particular topic, that probably we should not even be talking about members of parliament, because what is the role of a member of parliament? At least the usual ones. It's legislation, oversight, and representation, right? So if people out there choose somebody who might not be able to take care of any of these, then whom do you blame? Do Kenyans vote people knowing exactly what those people are going to do? When you vote for a governor, do you know what a governor should be doing? When you are voting for a member of parliament, when a member of parliament, the way Sudi is actually saying that he doesn't care about what happens in the house, it's what he does outside in the constituency. You know, that already is a problem. That already is a big problem.
But he's honest.
Because he's being honest, because you do not want to tell him the truth. Sudi also needs to be in the house. He should not be outside there actually spreading a lot of venom and not bringing that fire in the house. Just imagine if Sudi brought that fire in the house. And we really do not care. You know, he goes forth talking about a certain region where they speak a lot of English. That is very derogatory. And you know, in parliament, you should be able to use any of the two languages. Yeah. So no one stops Sudi from speaking his Kiswahili or his broken English or whatever he chooses to do in the house. So when he does, Parliament has got enough money. Parliament has got enough money to actually do translation for Sudi if he wants that. But he should not be going out there bringing in a whole community and profiling people just because they speak English according to him, which is very, very wrong. Okay. So even as we do elections, you know, one thing I've realized with the member for South Mugirango is that he gets very careful when it gets to people who are in government. When we were talking about Duale, he got very, very careful, and he was all over biting and then also blowing into each other at school. Now we're talking about Sudi, and he wants to be. Sudi will not beat you, my friend. And if he does, call us. We will take care of that.
Not that so I wanted to agree with him because I agree with Sudi's statement to some extent in terms of he said it's legislation, it's oversight, and representation. Now, if Sudi is good in representation means what? Lobbying, and I even say that one in the clip that you just played. Lobbying for his people. How do you lobby for your people? You lobby for your people by visiting government offices. Now, we normally come to Parliament on Tuesday. We are normally in Nairobi, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. On Friday, we are supposed to be at home, you know, attending to our people. And then we come back on Monday. Again, on Tuesday, we are there. So perhaps I can get to Parliament, sit for about 30 minutes or 1 hour, get to the Ministry of Water or Energy, and talk to the CS about my people's electricity. And that is what Sudi is saying. And I don't think it's bad. It's not about, you see, there is this perception that you really need to be shouting in Parliament to appear as working. And for me, that is wrong.
No one has said that. By the way, he can actually be going to the Ministry of Water or Energy, not for his people, but for tenders also.
But I also think that, Ken, there should be, when it comes to leadership, as members of the National Assembly or the Senate, there should be a bar on the level of education that we want to elect our leaders on, because some of the leaders are scared of speaking because they fear reasoning and there's insufficient knowledge. So I think we can leave it at that.
No, of course, from the next election, but there is already it will be a degree and above.
Minimum.
Even as they say that, this very, very Parliament, as we get to 2021, we'll start playing around with electoral laws. It's Parliament that did the same mess that we are in today.
It will actually be the third time, because it was there in 2007, it was there in 2013, it was there in 2017. Yeah. Oh yes.
No, it's always another civil rights group that comes out in defense of parliamentarians.
Parliamentarians who pass law of our people. You know, there are also so many other. Yes.
The people who vote?
No, even those who are, you know, the ones who vote also, the ones who are elected, as in the population. What is the literacy? You know, those are some of the things we need to look at when we're also making this law.
But literacy and numeracy are the basics of education. We are not talking about some, as in literacy and numeracy, just to be able to read and to count.
Okay, so one of the concerns here are, do even the young parliamentarians speak in one voice? Before even you look at what's happening in Parliament, the problem is. Do they speak in one voice?
The young men, what do you mean by one voice? Because
they have a common position.
They have got a caucus.
I know they have a caucus, but that caucus, does it speak in one voice?
I'll say yes or no, but...
no, you have to pick one, do they?
No, because we've got different interests.
Okay.
We've got different
political interests.
That is honest.
Yes, both political and all other.
How can we speak in one voice?
How would we?
When
Because we
can
come
she
also,
finish? Yes.
we also come from different regions.
loves
I come from
mansplaining.
Nairobi. My interests are
It's
different
okay.
from someone coming from, from the village.
Then why do you have a caucus?
We
Ken,
there are things which maybe as young
know.
people we can push as a team.
As a team, yes.
Yes, maybe 30%. We can push as a team, something which would help the youth of this country. But when it comes for your interest in the house, because as Babu...
As an individual.
Yes, as Babu said, he's been elected by Embakasi East residents. And there's that interest Embakasi East people want Babu to do for them. So he will not come, because I'm a young person also, or Osoro is a young person from South Mogirango, and he's got his own different interests, and come lobby with the Babu. Babu is completely different and with Osoro. So with that, when it comes to the house, the parliament, our work in parliament and what we were elected to do, then I think we've got different interests.
You got it,
Ken,
Babu,
I think,
as the SG, right?
I think I'm the Secretary General for Kenya Young Parliamentarians, and I believe that when we are on the floor of the House, so long as the interest of the motions that we are presenting is for Kenyan citizens, then we always speak as a unit. But when we come back, because we come from various political parties, when we're in those political parties, we represent different ideologies. A good example, Honorable Osoro, supports Deputy President. I support Raila Odinga with all my body parts and organs. Now, as Babu Owino, Honorable Osoro sponsored a motion that I seconded, taking into account that we come from different political parties and backgrounds, and we are supporting different political, different people politically. But I supported his motion because I believe that that motion is for the interest of the Kenyan citizens.
It was good for them.
So it depends on which specific interests are we fighting for. Okay. If it is political, definitely will be parallel. But if it is interest for the Kenyan citizens,
you will do it
then
together.
We will converge at a particular point.
Okay.
Yes.
You said that's where the problem lies. What is the problem?
This is where we begin. Here is the SG of Kenya Young Parliamentarians Association.
I'm the whip.
He's the whip also.
I'm the whip. I sit in the executive.
Imagine we began with a whip who told you they don't even speak in the same language. Here, this is the elephant in the room. There are so many. There's a reason why they came up with a caucus. And when they say that KYPA cannot speak in one language, yet Kewopa is so strong, they have got their own differences. And you will see her coming out so strongly to fight another female MP in other issues. But when they speak as women, it is unified. They even walk out of the house, all of them. But as young people, probably KYPA either is not primed well, or it does not exist, or it's a special
Maliba,
purpose vehicle for some other reason.
Just to cut my brother, there's Kewopa that speaks in unison. And then as we speak now, there's another body for women that has been formed to counter Kewopa. Let me tell you something. Even in a house, you can never agree all the times with the family members in a nuclear family. So one specific time when you are together with your wife, the kid is speaking a different language. When you are the kid, the wife, you and the wife, probably you might not be agreeing. Okay. So not at any specific period of time, not all the times we'll be agreeing on our matters. And politically, KYPA is for young parliamentarians. Today, as a Secretary General of KYPA, if I tell Honorable Osoro, who is also in KYPA as one of the members, to support Raila Odinga, he will say no, because he believes in Deputy President.
Okay. Okay.
Ken, I just wanted to bring this home. KYPA has got the agenda. It's supposed to push the youth agenda in the House. I'll tell you, for example, Babu, I'm just saying generally, Babu is in Parliament today because at the University of Nairobi, people were allowed to choose their leaders.
Yes.
He's in Parliament because the people of Embakasi East were allowed to choose their leaders. Do you know that today, government is actually pushing to ensure that the National Youth Council is not elective, it becomes appointive. It's a member of Parliament who's pushing that, and the government is actually, and KYP is doing nothing. The other bit is this, we're talking about Biashara Fund. On Friday, there was a Gazette notice winding up Youth Fund, Women Enterprise Fund, and Uwezo Fund. Now, what you will actually find that is fun is that in the same Gazette notice, they were introducing a new bill for Uwezo Fund, which means it's only the Youth Fund and Women Enterprise Fund that are being collapsed. When the president showed up and said that he would rather, when he brought in Mudiawari for the youth sports, the sports fund thing, he said he would rather give all the people because Younger people, when they are given jobs, they steal. We know the people who are in court for stealing.
They're not young people.
They're not young people.
They're old.
It will be remembered. History will actually remember these three guys seated here. That the president said that, and they did not call him out to that.
No, I think they did.
No, we did.
They did. Not as the caucus, but young people did.
We did.
Separately. So you realize, like for example, 3 years, we still have got youth officers on the ground who have nothing to do. We have got youth officers that have actually been turned into churches. The ministry that is supposed to be taking around that knows how to manage these guys. They've now moved all the money to NYS. It is NYS that ensured that youth departments and youth officers on the ground were having a lot of problems. If I say that, I'm actually waiting for Honorable Osoro to actually show up and start defending NYS. Yet young people...
I don't know why he thinks that I must defend every system from the government.
So allow me to finish. Allow me to finish. Okay. Thank you for actually helping me get water. So jobs, I have seen her try to actually lobby for jobs, but they normally do not reflect. If KYPA was strong enough to be vocal enough, honestly, we will not be seeing, and you people are politicians, you know that 90% of the texts you get are for people asking for jobs and handouts that you can't run away from. So, and then we have got a place. When you started, you were talking about now these guys giving young people jobs on contracts, because literally everybody who's going to come to government are going to be young people. Now they are going to be given contracts. We are denying a whole generation the benefits that other people have actually come in and enjoyed. So I still feel that the collective, as individuals, they perform well. But the collectivity, the collective as young people, they have got a challenge in actually organizing and speaking in one voice. Because especially when it shows up, and Babu has been very honest when he says, there are other issues when his party says, Babu jump, he asks how high. There are places when the deputy president, you know, ever since he joined Tangatanga, he's actually a lead vocalist in Orchestra Tangatanga. So he sings very well in that particular end. When he does that, when the people in Tangatanga show up and say, Honorable Osoro, we want you to go left, he actually asks how left when he's already on the extreme left. So that has challenged that bit. Yet, we will really need that, because honestly, young people have gotten a raw deal under Jubilee. We should not pretend. If there is a group that has suffered under Jubilee for the last 6 years, are young people.
That someone is too long.
He told you to elect.
That someone is too long, but it's okay. But I'll tell you this, and this is the truth of the matter. You know, when people, it's like when you're in the pitch. I mean, when people when the team is at the pitch and somebody is a spectator, they tend to play better than they tend to they play with their mind and they say, okay, why is this guy like doing this? But when you get inside there, you know,
even as we cheer.
I'll tell you this. It sounds so easy when you're outside Parliament, but when you get inside Parliament, there are so many things that I thought I could do when I'm a member of Parliament. But far from it, it is very different from the practicality of it.
Then you come out and tell people it's impossible.
But your mindset has been crafted to believe
that it shall be done.
That this thing is very easy. So anytime somebody wants to explain, like now, even when Honorable Caleb was explaining some things here, you are saying it's an excuse. Because your mind tends to believe that these guys need to do this and this and this and this, and that is wrong.
What about the 10
but let me say
who have never
this.
spoken?
The members of Parliament, the young members of Parliament, the KYPA group, with the leadership of Honorable Babu, Honorable Sakaja, Millicent Omanga, and Ndindi Nyoro, and everything. The main purpose of that association is to nurture leadership from our own perspective. We might not really think the same because we are different. We've got different backgrounds, different line of thought, and different focus, and different dreams. And the main purpose of coming together is to get the training on leadership from our own end. And we've had seminars. And you cannot say that it has lost its purpose. The leadership has organized seminars that we've gone
mentorship
to,
programs.
mentorship programs that we meet leaders, we get
whom do you mentor?
Books and everything. And we are guided to mentor.
No. The young upcoming leaders, like a university.
The university, we've met the university students. Leaders
across the country.
Babu will know that anytime you see an activity around an organization, you know it's just a justification of a jackpot. So probably...
You see, that is why I told you the challenge is a spectator from outside. He's playing from outside and he thinks it's very easy.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to take a quick break, but even as we take the break, we're coming back to discuss a topic that is very key, and a lot of Kenyans are concerned with this. What was said yesterday about the deputy president. So as we take the break, I'd like Millicent, being the only lady, to conclude this for us. So what is the way forward? Do you agree that you need to speak more? Just briefly.
I think as young people, for sure, we need to lead this conversation.
Yes, and talk about the road deal that he spoke about, the young people getting a road deal from the government.
I think, like Duale said, and you get, for example, in the house business, which actually comes up with the programs and the bills which will come to the house, there's no young person who sits there. So they might go there and try to put their own things. So you get these bills for the young people, don't come to the floor, don't see the light of day. So sometimes we judge the youth and these vulnerable groups, the women, harshly, but there are so many other challenges which I would call, as the governor of Nairobi calls it, cartels. You know, in that parliament, there are also cartels. So you get elected. Yes. So they've been there for years. So they know how to run with the business of the house. So most young people are new. So by the time you chase around with your bill and all that,
5 years is gone.
I'm telling you.
All right. We're taking a short break. When we come back, I'd like to introduce the new topic just shortly, because I see people are already thinking of something else. But let's take a break. We'll be back.
And in that meeting, there were plans that were being hatched in that meeting at Lamanda to kill him. And that is why the DCI thought those allegations were serious enough to warrant summoning us to this meeting this morning.
All right, welcome back. But before we begin that discussion, let's listen to what Moses Kuria had to say when he appeared on AM Live Show.
Let's just do some disclosures. One, this whole meeting of Lamada, including the choice of Lamada Hotel, I am the one who initiated it. And Senator Matang is my witness.
You're the one who initiated this meeting?
Yes, because I was a coordinator on development matters for our region. And to solve our development matters, I had to pull together everybody. Senators, MPs, CSs, PSs, business people, who, this is the only meeting you know. There's so many countless meetings of business people, of professionals from our region that meet regularly about these issues. Am I saying that in that particular meeting, that they didn't discuss these matters that have been alleged? I cannot tell. Maybe, maybe not. I'm just trying to say there is two sides of the argument.
The convener, who, however, is unable to state whether for certain the kind of things that were said about the assassination and attempt on the life of the deputy president, he cannot confirm that, but he confirms that there was indeed a meeting. The reason why I'm bringing this discussion now shortly, because I need to let you go, is do you guys believe that it's possible to have an attempt on the deputy president's life, and especially by the CSs and PSs who should be falling under him? Plan and go ahead and discuss it openly. Who do I begin with? Let me begin with the support of the deputy president. Does it concern your camp that this is happening?
Yeah, it's a major concern. It's a great concern. Let me tell you that succession politics in this country have history in this country. I mean, you can guess. Your guess is as good as mine. It's true that power is very sweet, and people sometimes do whatever they. At times, it gets so emotive and to extreme ends, and even affect life. So nothing can be further from the truth. And by the way, not just the deputy president, any person's life is very important. So when you hear a person raise alarm about his life, or when you hear anyone, including that handcart puller, complaining about his life, then you need not to assume that, because every person and every life matters. But on the assertions or the sentiments that you've had in the recent past, I am a bit privy to a little bit of information on some other things that from the media, and I've really tried to interpret them. That a meeting was held in Lamada, and a meeting involved 4 CSs discussing about, actually 3 CSs and a PS, discussing about development at the basement of a building with phones outside, left outside, at night, discussing about development of Central Kenya. Those are some of the questions that have been asked. Is Central Kenya development limited to only 4 ministries or 3 ministries? I mean, we've got so many other ministries. Is it limited to that? Why would you hold a meeting about development in a hotel, at Lamada Hotel, at the basement? Why wouldn't you hold such a meeting in a public place, or in a public office where the CSS hold
Moses
very
Kuria,
big
the
offices?
convener, says that indeed
I'll tell you
today
today that Moses Kuria is coming out as a damage controller. I mean, Moses Kuria is not aware. He's not honest. He's not aware of such a meeting.
He's not honest.
He wasn't even part of that such meeting. But who knows? Everyone knows Moses Kuria is trying to maneuver around every political.
Jaguar, you said he wasn't here to defend himself.
Hold on. He wasn't here. We are talking about him because he's given a statement. So we are describing his statement.
Yeah.
That Moses Kuria, the truth of the matter is, Moses Kuria is finding a way for political strength around this whole story to appear like, there is something. And in any case, his statements even make this story more authentic. That you are not even a convener of this meeting, but you're coming on live air and claiming that you're the convener of such a meeting. I mean, it could be a total lie.
Again, the CS Munya came out on media saying that, they met, the 4 of them. They actually agreed that they had a meeting to discuss development. And as Mheshimiwa Osoro has said, how would 4 or 3 cabinet secretaries actually meet to discuss development? And because I'm also privy to Central Province, and the issues there are, coffee, tea, about, we didn't even have the Minister for Agriculture, and yet the farmers there are crying foul about their coffee, about the prices of their tea, and so what development are we talking about? So as Osoro has said, Moses Kuria is just a scapegoat. They're just trying to beat around some sideshows so that the thing can be seen as a joke and all that. But he's not honest.
Okay, I know your point.
Ken, I know this is an emotive issue, and I will probably want to scuttle this debate so that even if we have to throw around these cups, let us throw the cups, but actually face the bull by its horns. Number one, no idiot, and I will use that word deliberately, even an idiot in this country knows that there are 3 people you cannot touch and still have a country. You cannot touch Raila Odinga and remain with a country. You cannot touch William Ruto and remain with a country. You cannot touch on Uhuru Kenyatta and remain with a country. So, that Mheshimiwa Osoro here.
You can't touch Wetangula. It will noisy.
So let her not make his point.
So I'm actually saying that such an issue easily polarizes a country, and we should not go back to where we have been. Mm-hmm. And when you see Moses Kuria shows up and says he organized the meeting, Mheshimiwa Osoro was neither there nor around there.
He doesn't come from Central
Kenya.
Yes.
He knows the phones were outside.
No. But Munya said.
Let me just finish. Munya should have brought out. Munya actually should have said that it is Moses Kuria who organized it for us.
But he said
but he's the one who said
the phones were outside. They were holding a meeting in the basement. Now, I have had an opportunity of actually doing meetings at Ramada, not once, not twice. And I'll tell you this, that most of the meeting rooms at Lamada are actually in the basement. On the southern wing, they're actually in the basement. 2, it's a common practice when government officials are meeting at the level of the CS, normally for guys to be swept for bags and everything else. So he should be coming out and telling us clearly.
How did he know?
His piece of evidence. Because if Moses Kuria says I organize, and he says Moses Kuria did not organize, why are you there? Why are you the planner? Did you record the meeting? Do you have evidence? Now, moving forward.
I'm getting my statement from the CS Munya. I am not
what Munya said.
Munya said,
that's what Munya
exactly.
said.
Munya said he was called by the president.
The impression Munya gave us, CS Munya gave us, is it was the basement, not a meeting room.
Yes.
Exactly.
That's the impression
it is actually
the meetings, most of the meeting rooms, and all these Waheshimiwas have been there, they would know. Let us really not come up with Majito stories. These guys have been there. And on the southern wing of Lamada, most of the confidential meetings, actually underground.
But you see, why do we raise alarm? I want to cut him short on that.
Can I bring this home?
Yes, please do, because I want to speak to Babu too. Yes.
I want to bring this home by saying this, that somebody can actually think about making an attempt on the deputy president. I think that is stupid. How would you penetrate crack guys, 100 of them well-trained? 2, if there was any stupid, and we have to call this for what it is, if there was a stupid and silly thought and comment around that, it should be looked for what it is. Otherwise, from where we are, and the deputy president is justified to come out and say, somebody is thinking ill of me. So when we raise that, but then Mheshimiwa Osoro and the Tanga group actually really want to politicize this. But people really do not like that. Because we want to politicize the ground. We want to polarize the ground. We have been there. We should not go back.
Okay. Babu.
I think, Ken, I heard Mheshimiwa Osoro saying clearly that it is the president who called the DCI Kinoti.
It was on paper. It was on paper today.
Yeah, so when I heard that yesterday,
it was on standard today.
Now, when I heard that yesterday, I decided to call the president, and the president was
really, Babu?
member of parliament of Embakasi's constituency, and I'm telling you, I called the president, and Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta said clearly that he is not interested in sideshows. He's concentrating on his Big Four agenda, which is manufacturing, affordable housing, food for all, universal health care. Furthermore, he said that he wants to create opportunity for the youths, to create jobs for the youths. He wants to unite Kenyans to run away from this ghost of ethnicity that divides the nation every other time. And he wants to secure our borders away from the Al-Shabaab that is attacking our nation. And the fact that the deputy president, Ruto, did not record a complaint anywhere, then it shows that these statements are rumors, are innuendos.
But how did they end up at the DCI if he didn't complain?
Proceed. Yeah. He did not complain. The DCI confirmed that this person had not registered any statement with them. He did not complain, and that means that there can't be a case without a complainant. So these are mere statements of facts. These are misrepresentation of facts, innuendos, and rumors who are being peddled by rumor mills who wants only to Ruma
But why-
who are only interested in attention seeking.
No.
Ken,
Why
who
would-
has a question for you, Babu?
No, why would DCI Kinoti call all cabinet secretaries?
For cabinet
Why didn't they
just
record the
because of
statement? Because there is no
rumors?
complainant.
Okay, hold
Okay, so Ken, I have got a theory to what is
No,
going
he
on.
says, I want to say this. First and foremost, when you hear Babu defend His Excellency the President fiercely, you agree with me that salvation is real. And it is real, and I'm very happy. And I'm very happy he got to Canaan eventually. Ken on this issue, and I think we are not really trying to polarize the country, and we do not really want to have this discussion as much, like, you know, like for purposes of exciting the nation. Let me tell you, election is 3 years away. Why would one want to excite you know, the masses, or to raise fears over an election that is 3 years away? I mean, it's not practically possible, and especially a person of the office of the deputy president, that is not practically possible. Why you see Tanga squad raising alarm over this very purportedly small matter is because of the history that we've had in the past 1 year. In every event that the deputy president has been attending, you've noticed in the recent past, especially this very year, and even when he is launching government projects or doing anything, even if, I mean, with the fact that he's the person who is holding the second highest office in this land, you'd expect that at least government officials attend. But what do you see? You notice, you agree with me that even the chief of security in counties, he came recently in Nyamira, my neighboring county. And I mean, you couldn't see the county commissioner, the DCC, government official, and even, hold on, and even the area chief. He then came to Kisii County, my county. You couldn't see the county commissioner, the deputy county commissioner, even the assistant chief.
It was a political rally.
And
so
not political rally. Yes. By the way, let me tell you something. The office of the deputy president is a part of the executive. And when an executive visits any place, we are supposed to have the county commissioner, the DCC, the deputy county commissioner, downwards, as has been the norm for the purpose of the executive. It's a normal practice. Hold on. And it is not written anywhere.
We are letting him run away with so much.
Can we hear him then?
We are allowing him to run away with so much.
You need to let him speak.
Exactly.
How?
You see, look, we saw the other day,
Honorable Raila, so much.
Hold on. You know, Arnold speaks too much, and one might think he has content. You know, when you speak too much, one thinks you have content. Let me tell you. You know, and he's my friend. You know, but let me say this.
Can we listen to Mheshimiwa and we come back?
Exactly. But that is
I have got a right.
The right of reply.
Yes, you will reply.
You will reply when I finish.
We will run away.
It will run away. It will run away.
He needs to. No. He needs to keep quiet until I finish. Because
I wanted to say that was a careless statement.
No. It is not. It is not.
Osoro and careless and Osoro are synonyms.
You can agree. You can agree with me. You can agree with me that this gentleman does not have content. For him, it's about emotions.
What is content? What is content?
Gentlemen.
I want to tell you this.
Gentlemen.
All of us, let's just
can we listen to one person?
Exactly. Let him allow me wind up.
Proceed.
Exactly. So I'm saying this. It is not just the norm. The executive and the president is the symbol of unity in this country. You know that. And the executive symbol, the executive comprises of the presidency. The presidency, when we talk about the presidency, we talk about the president and the deputy president. So when the deputy president visits a place, he is virtually representing His Excellency the President. Because we have one president and a deputy president. We do not vote them singularly. We vote a pair of the president and the deputy president.
What is the point, Mheshimiwa?
Now, my point is this. You shouldn't miss, or you shouldn't instruct, nobody should instruct chiefs and DCCs, the deputy county commissioners.
Are you suggesting they are instructed?
We talk to them. We talk to them. I've talked to we talk to the assistant chiefs. They come from our areas.
The chiefs were not feeling
They've not been feeling well for so long. But the truth is this. We talk to those chiefs and they are told, they tell us they've been given instructions.
By who? Do they mention?
Yes, they mentioned. Some of them mentioned.
Oh, they mentioned?
Yes, some of them mentioned. From most of them mentioned from the Karanja Kibichi office.
Okay.
And they say we've been instructed
Not to
attend this meeting. And if we attend, not in uniform, and we sit at the back, just to appear that for them, they are trying to push a narrative that the deputy president is not part of the executive, and that is our worry.
Let me
ask the question, then Maliba responds, because Maliba needs to respond. Yes.
Suppose, which I don't pray for, because right now we are in a nation where everybody should be united because of this issue of ethnicity. Suppose somebody really wanted to kill the deputy president. Do you think the chief can block the bullet? So we need not to complain about the chiefs.
That is not the point. That is not the point.
And number two, I heard that the deputy president now has security from Russia.
No,
he's well secured.
But they have the intelligence, the chiefs have got the intelligence on the ground, and they'll be able to...
Yes. Now, let's give Maliba now the opportunity. Yes.
Number one, I am so happy that you asked Honorable Osoro, after all that rant, what was his point? Thank you for that wisdom. Two, when we were young, there were guys who, once they shrub a word, that word should be removed in Sheng or the dictionary. When a man who is told what to say, who is told what to sing, tells another man about content, then the word content loses meaning.
Can we come back to the discussion, Maliba?
Yes, I just wanted to say that Honorable Osoro and content are not the same, because he reads from a script that is prepared for him.
No, that's a lie. That's a lie. I'm an elected leader and I represent people.
To my point.
He represents his own head and himself. I know
it's true. All of us at some point represent ourselves. Like he himself at the moment, I know when he speaks for that side he speaks for, he might not be representing Mugirango South, but probably his stomach and the knees and other things. Now, moving very fast, I would like to say this. That can we flip this and just get on the hard stuff?
He's losing content.
On Saturday, we knew that the DPP had files on 2 CSS on Aror and Kimwarer.
On Friday last week.
How coincidental is it that when there's what we call the H hour, that when the H hour was expected to be on Monday, a crisis was precipitated that became so big, and therefore the DPP was not able to arrest. The papers reported on Saturday. You need to check that. So we have now forgotten about the arrest, the senior arrest that was supposed to be done on Monday. Is it possible, I'm not saying anything, but I'm just trying to, it's a theory I'm building. Is it possible that this assassination story was about stonewalling the arrest that was supposed to be there?
Okay.
Two, we also know that the Jubilee administration for the last 6 years has been a disastrous tour of government. The DP wants to run as president. Is it possible that he's looking for an avenue and he has started laying his foundation of living
Jubilee?
Yeah.
Okay.
So for me, I feel like wherever this came from and how it's being handled, you know, when people are meeting in a basement somewhere and they talk about stopping the deputy president, is stopping the same as killing? Is stopping the same as assassinating? That has not come out.
Okay.
Then people should not plot against somebody. This political competition, people should not plot against him. If they are, I'm not saying that the 4 CSS were doing, but then some questions are rather obvious. You put Cicely Kariuki here and you say, now Cicely, we are discussing how we are going to take care of the deputy president. Who in his own right mind will do that?
Okay. Babu, even as you respond, because I want to hear from Mheshimiwa Omanga too. Yes. You remember there's a time the judiciary was meeting and the president was invited.
Yes.
And then the deputy president stood and said, perhaps my invitation got lost in the mail. Yes. Remember that time?
Yes.
Which means he was not invited to a function. He was in the country, but he was not invited to a function that the president was attending at the judiciary. That's not that's not normal. That's not, I don't think it's procedure. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think the fact that the president is there, the deputy president need not to be invited, because the president will either way perform the function that he's been invited to do. So many leaders were not invited. Babu Owino was not invited, yet I have people that I'm representing in Embakasi's constituency.
Babu Owino cannot start equating himself to the deputy president of this country.
No. Why not? Why not?
We cannot continue with that
Why
conversation.
We are
Babu Owino cannot equate himself to the deputy president of this country.
Is deputy president the god? A god in
no, he's not a god, so but by virtue of the office he holds, he is very senior. He's in the executive.
President.
When you
Will we
decide,
not-
you'll be
will
equal.
we not
But
equal?
you haven't
What
decided.
is there? Because I think Babu has no
But he's not
content.
made his
It's
point.
getting late.
He's not
No,
made his
no,
point.
he has no
Really?
point, Ken.
He has a point.
He has no
Really?
point.
Mheshimiwa, he has a point.
No, no,
The
no, he
thing
has no
is-
point because
No.
The
Babu
thing
Owino
is,
has to
the
speak his
people
point.
Let me
who
ask
are
you a
doing the
question.
invitation.
Babu Owino
He has
has
no
to speak
point.
his
Deputy
point.
President is an elected leader. Babu Owino is an elected leader.
No,
Why
now
must
you
I
see-
not
you
equip
see
myself
already-
with the
Is
deputy
that
president?
He's not
really-
elected.
Let me go to
Is
Millicent.
He's an elected
that
leader.
what
Content
we are
is
going to
all of a
listen?
sudden a preserve of Tangatanga, really?
Sorry?
That content and points are now a preserve of Tangatanga. If he tries to
I
speak,
think-
he doesn't have a point.
You see,
So
he-
if you say something,
the
you don't
duo
have
are
to
speaking from.
Can
But,
we let
you can
gentlemen,
clearly
But
get
gentlemen,
Gentlemen,
to know.
aside and let's
Yes,
reason
can
as
we
young people.
listen to Babu Owino? Then if he
No,
says
he
something that
has-
doesn't
let
make
me
sense
speak.
to
It's
you,
not making sense.
He has-
He's not. He
can,
cannot
can,
quote
but
himself
you
as
cannot
deputy
say
president.
that he
Let me
cannot
ask you a
speak.
question.
You cannot
Let me
say
ask you a
that.
question.
What
What makes
he
you
says-
feel that the deputy president ought to have been invited
To
by
what?
the judiciary, by Maraga, to that meeting?
Yes,
When Uhuru was already representing his
is-
interests.
We have a presidency.
You are right. You are right to that extent. But what you are wrong is to equate yourself with the deputy president. You are right to the extent that the presidency
But-
was
but what
invited.
makes you
But
think
saying
that
I
the
wasn't
deputy
invited,
president-
DP wasn't invited. I mean, you
But
and
what makes
DP,
think
you,
that the deputy
myself, and
president ought
DP
to
are not
have
the
been
same.
invited, and I'm not invited as an elected member of parliament who makes laws?
No,
What
you
makes
know,
you think so?
you are in the legislation, and
Duale
deputy
was there
president
and,
is
to
in
represent
the
you.
executive. Duale was there to
Duale was
represent you.
elected
but,
by
if
2000.
but if Honorable Duale was invited, definitely.
Yeah, he represented
the
him.
DP should have been
Yes.
invited.
The
But
president-
anyway, back
the president-
No.
The
The
presidency-
presidency.
The presidency was present.
The presidency was
Yes.
present, and we are okay with that. We are not complaining.
Okay.
That is what I'm saying.
My point was that
What
my
was
point.
it?
No,
Arnold,
we say
Arnold
he
was saying-
compared himself with the deputy
Arnold,
president.
Mheshimiwa, the point is this, Babu
Osoro,
Owino.
don't cry more than the bereaved. You guys, you are crying more than the
But
bereaved.
again-
I don't know
but
what
again,
The point is
Babu-
this,
who is the
the
bereaved here?
justification.
Babu is a man. The deputy
Mheshimiwa
president is a
Osoro
man.
and Arnold, you're getting
Arnold
out of
is
hand.
right.
We'll have to get you out of the studio now.
No, Arnold is
But-
right.
But the point is this. The point that he's making is this. The deputy president has not been respected the way that institution
Yes.
needs to be respected. And that is the point I want you
Does
to address.
respect means inviting you for meetings?
No, respect also means that he's accorded the state machineries when he goes to the ground.
Has
That
the
is
deputy-
the point.
has
I'm
he
talking to
complained?
Babu. I'm talking to Babu.
Giving
Owino.
you a chief to protect you while
Not
you're
a
the person
chief.
who can
We are
protect
talking
a
about the
chief.
hierarchy.
Babu,
The
has the deputy
administration
president
hierarchy.
complained?
He has not complained.
He has not. Why are these people
No,
complaining?
hold on.
But how do you
But
say
I
he has
know
not
that the
complained and they go with him to the functions and says they have asked the questions?
Not
They have
even
asked
that.
the
Not
question.
even that. Not
Has
even
the
that.
DP told you that
Not
he's
even
not being
that. You
respected?
see, we are discussing about the
But,
security. The
it's
security.
okay.
saying
So it's
we are
also
saying
about
we are
what-
discussing about
when
security.
Maliba.
When Raila was being disrespected,
Maliba.
he complained.
Maliba.
The DP
Maliba.
has not
Maliba.
complained.
Yes. Maliba.
Why
We are
other
discussing
people
about
are
security.
not the
How was
you
he
do not work at the
disrespected?
DP's office.
How
Then-
was
you
Raila
do not work
Can
in
we
Raila's office to defend him. You do not work in the president's
Has
office
he
to
told
defend
you?
him.
Can we
He told
mute
you.
Maliba's mic?
What we are saying is this.
Yes, can we
No,
mute
Maliba is
Maliba's
just
mic
right.
and the rest of the show?
Exactly.
Let's talk to
He's
him.
right.
What I'm saying is this.
Yes.
We are talking about security. The people who
That
chair
was the
security.
point.
That is the
Security.
point. The people who chair
That's the
security
point,
meetings
He's
are
the
the
vice
county
chair.
commissioners and the deputy county commissioners. We are talking about the security.
Your mic is
security.
muted.
I have got
Hold
a
on, your
question.
mic is muted.
We are talking about security.
Union Lollising, but
The
you
people
don't
who
mute me.
chair, hold on. The people who chair security meetings in counties are the county commissioners and the deputy county commissioners.
Who protects the president?
Now,
The deputy
and
president.
those are the people who chair. So we are saying this. We are only alleging fears on his security. On the
Based
deputy
on what you
president.
have
Based
seen.
on that, we are not
Can I
saying
have
that is
a question?
necessary.
Osoro,
You
how
know,
many
we have a
securities
history
does
of
the deputy
we have a
president
history of
have?
the former prime
Let's
minister
start
complaining about carpet.
Carpet,
So
toilet,
we
and
can
all.
show
Maliba
and the
can see,
toilet,
yes,
and
and
the
some-
toilet.
And the toilet.
That's water under the bridge. No. That's water under the bridge.
So the fact is-
how many securities does the deputy president have that he needs the protection of the chief?
No,
Not
he's
the
talking about the
protection, Babu
protection
Owino.
of the
You're
not
getting this
protection.
very, Maliba,
Can I have a
you're
question?
getting this
I've got a
very,
question.
what he's saying is this.
Security. What
When
is
the
security?
deputy president goes to the ground, naturally, you would expect
It's the
to
norm.
see the government machinery with him on the ground.
Yes,
right?
it's not a
So
must.
the absence, naturally, you expect to see them.
Why
He
do you fear
represents
the
the
same people
presidency.
who elected you? You know, you need not to
It's
go
not
with
about
the-
fear.
I have a question,
What is
Ken.
happening?
I have questions too. So
Yes, now we can go to Maliba.
am I?
Yes,
He's
now you can speak.
actually a
No, no.
state state property.
He's not muted. Now he can, yes, he's a state, similar to
the
even you as a nominated senator,
even
you are.
That is why you cannot even commit suicide.
Babu,
why were you complaining when your security was withdrawn?
I didn't complain. In fact, I took goons from my constituency.
Why did you take goons?
I have questions.
Because those are the right people I ought to have been, and I was with them.
Okay, let's listen to Maliba. Maliba, what's your question now?
My question to Honorable Osoro and Honorable Millicent, who protects the deputy president? Definitely not the county commissioner, the chief, and the others.
It's not about the protection. It's about the government machinery. It's not about protection.
It's very right.
He will get it. We'll force him to get it.
Because that is where the issue of insecurity is coming from.
Because they are talking about, we were talking about the deputy president's security.
Yes.
He brought in the issue of county commissioners and the other people.
Yes.
And I asked, who protects the deputy president? That's a very simple and basic question. The GSU, the Records Code, right? So, has there been a case where the Records Code was withdrawn from the deputy president? No. Has the deputy president ever lacked coordination from the ground, even when the county commissioner was not there? No.
Yes.
Yes, definitely coordination.
Then my last two questions. My last two questions.
Can we give him
My last
an
two
opportunity now?
My last two questions.
And he has to learn not to interrupt other people.
My last question, but they do it a lot of times.
Okay, your last question.
My two last questions.
Yes.
Number one, has the deputy president complained?
Okay.
No. The last question is, can't the deputy president talk to Uhuru Kenyatta? Are they friends? Yes. Do they talk to each other? Yes. So these two guys who are outsiders to a group of two guys who met and decided to form government, and they did, they still hold hands, they walk around.
You're part of it. We formed.
And he's not complaining, and you are complaining.
Okay, let me tell you this.
Can I say something?
I think he's speaking like a political toddler. Politicians speak through lieutenants. Hold on. He's speaking like a political toddler.
Babu hasn't spoken much.
You see, he has spoken so much.
No. He didn't speak. You kept on interrupting him. Millicent
has something about my equity with the deputy president. You know, Millicent, don't be emotional. God created all of us equally. So when I say I'm equal to the deputy president, there is nothing.
Then you're equal to the president. That's what you mean.
There is no problem.
Okay.
Because God created us in his own likeness.
The president is a man, you are a man.
And equally.
In terms of, I think they were speaking in terms of responsibility.
In terms of responsibility.
In terms of responsibility that he has as a deputy. Now you can speak.
You see, my point is this. Why I'm calling my friend Arnold a political toddler is this. On negativity, on negativity, when you hear, the last time you heard when Sudi was speaking, sometimes on the political innuendos and everything, people like Arnold were saying, when you hear Sudi speak, then you've heard the deputy president speak.
I did not say it.
Several people say that. Now
let me tell you
this.
Okay, he's denied it. He's denied it.
But let me tell you this.
You have denied it.
Let me tell you this. The person, and he's even confirmed it here, the person of the deputy president's stature of that office is a person with a lot of people behind him. He does not need to speak for himself. We are looking at things because he has a team that he works along with. Why we are called Tanga?
I don't know
why we are called Tanga team.
Babu, can we listen to one person at a time?
Said that we've had many deputy presidents who've not been. I'm just telling him we've never
had a deputy president. This is the first deputy president. We've been having vice president.
No, you cannot. They are not the same.
The vice president and the deputy president
are not the same. You're a lawyer. You know
vice and deputy. I'll say what I said yesterday. I'll say what I said yesterday. In conclusion, I'll say what I said yesterday on a section of the media that I dedicate the story of Mordecai and Haman to His Excellency the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. That robe that was placed for Mordecai, the very people who set that trap will be placed there by themselves.
This man loves poetry.
Now you have an opportunity to speak and dispute what Babu is saying.
I think we are retrogressing in this conversation because if Babu starts saying that
the
vice president and the deputy president is the same, meaning actually,
okay, give me a difference between a vice and a deputy. Give me a difference between a vice and a deputy.
Not even that.
Even with the constitution.
Look, the county commissioner represents the presidency. Represents the presidency of the lower level.
So you are in a different university. Hold on. Millicent, what is the difference between a vice and a deputy?
There is a big difference.
And that's what I'm
give us. Don't say there's a big difference. Just give us.
Because this conversation is
you went to the university.
Okay.
Now give us the difference between vice and deputy.
I'm embarrassed.
There is a difference. I'll tell you. I can define that.
Are we going to really look for a clarification on what is a vice and deputy?
Really? Okay. The difference on responsibility.
No. Don't even respond to that. If you would respond to the question, because we need to move on.
It's just the new constitution that describes it as a deputy president,
because he's a principal assistant. No, he's a principal assistant to the president as a deputy president.
Okay. He has forgotten my question.
I haven't forgotten the questions, and I'm telling him this.
Yes.
You see, is among the people who are thinking broadly.
No, the first thing is asking, is the deputy president, has he complained?
That is
the
what I'm
second
saying.
thing is asking, he can meet with the president to talk about this. Why can't he speak to the president about it?
I'll tell you today
Yes.
that the deputy president has spoken with His Excellency the President over this matter.
Okay.
And
That
the
the question has been answered.
I'll tell you and I'll confirm that.
And the president has failed.
And from the section of the media, as you've noticed, the president took an initiative himself, as you saw from the section
And
of
sent
the media,
them to the
and
DCI.
sent and called the DCI. It came from the president. He called the DCI and instructed him to do the investigations. And he's also asked, as the deputy president complained formally, like why hasn't he written the statements and everything like that? I mean, these are just matters under investigations. And now that the president took it upon himself to make a call to the DCI, and they are doing investigations within themselves, they called upon the CSS. I think from our end, we should let the investigative agencies
do their work.
I've
been accused of lacking knowledge. Let's read the meaning of deputy and let's get the synonyms. Means second in command, second number 2, subordinate, junior, auxiliary, assistant, PA, helper, right-hand man, henchman.
So
and the vice means the same thing.
No, the vice doesn't mean the same. I'll tell you.
Vice, what is
the vice?
I will not agree that we are going to argue over vice and deputy. We can't do that. We'll waste a lot of time. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
The deputy president and the president are elective positions.
We know.
The vice president.
That is but we are talking about the meaning of the deputy and the vice. What is the difference according to you? You went to the
when we leave here, we are going to look up the meaning of deputy and vice president. All right. Now, time to look at the
accused of being an academic dwarf when somebody is an academic orphan.
So now you are insulting Senator Millicent.
Read this.
You're insulting Senator. You're insulting Senator.
Let's take a look, ladies and gentlemen.
One of the
you're insulting Senator.
I'm going by the constitution.
Babu Owino and Mheshimiwa.
No, you're insulting Senator.
No, Maliba, we have to move on. I'm not going to discuss this. No, we have had you. We have had you.
You have not saying high commissioners and ambassadors, meaning almost the same things.
All right, Babu Owino, settled.
You know the same things.
Mheshimiwa Osoro, you are out of order. Maliba, what haven't you said because you've said anything?
I know this can actually get emotional.
No, these are not two women. These are two.
Oh, sorry.
Kindly protect me from
Honestly, Mheshimiwa Osoro, you are out of order. You are out of order.
Mheshimiwa is faith.
Mheshimiwa,
speed and comfort.
Mheshimiwa Osoro.
Yes. Maliba, conclude this for us.
I'd like to say this, that the claim on an attempt on the deputy president's life is a serious one.
Yes.
Let's not trivialize it.
Yes.
Let us not overplay it. Since the police are doing their work, let us allow them to do that.
That is true.
Let us not do these a lot of Majitu stories that we are doing. And I think you read a lot of Kakasungura na wenzake. So you come up with a lot of poetry and that. So let us allow the police to do their work. Let us not overplay it.
That's what Mheshimiwa Osoro said.
You see,
police to do their work.
No, he actually has gone ahead to define how the meeting looked like and
that one was before. He's ended by saying
I
it needs to be investigated.
I want to send the two of them to the larger group that is Tanga Tanga. Kindly let us manage this. The deputy president, in his wisdom, reached out to the president, right? He should have stood out and shouted on his own, right? The papers reported that he reached out to the president. So let us not, I know these guys are already mourning. It looks like they even want that funeral. As in, they are already mourning, they are all over sharing very funny things. Let us control these things. Let us not weep more than they bereave. 2, for anyone else who's watching us, such things are not things to play with. Let us not really make jokes, even if it's in jest or something. Nah. Let's not make such like comments.
All right, time now to take a look at the cartoon of the week. And ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to take a look at this cartoon that is playing next and then comment. It will be on the screens even right behind you. All right, that's the cartoon of the week. Take a look and I'll begin with Arnold Maliba, your analogy of the cartoon of the week.
Look at that.
You can say it from here.
I think the cartoon is apt that we have got about 3 years and 5 months of this drama. My life is in danger, they want to kill me, and a lot of noises. You can actually see these are the teens around there. These are the small teens, these are the Osoros and Millicent and the others, making a lot of noise even as we move on. So,
go back to class 2.
Okay, Maliba.
So we should actually be in for a rough and long bumpy ride, because these guys have actually decided that it's an all-out war. any small thing that comes out. So it's a wedding that we're going to live with, and unfortunately, probably it will be here much longer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Osoro.
What I see in this picture is exhaust pipes, 4 exhaust pipes, exhuming, waste from the vehicle. And the vehicle is the Jubilee, the just married ones. And from the inside, there are cries. And it's not just about the life of the inside the vehicle now of the couple. Mm-hmm. There are cries, there are divisions within the vehicle or the couple. And not just about the life, the physical life, but Jubilee as a whole is in danger out of different, the external forces. And by the way, there could be 2 different descriptions. The exhaust pipes that you are seeing there could be external forces that are trying to fight the couple that is inside. And the external forces could be, number 1, could be as you see, there is this kutoeleweka. They've just come from, they are part of Jubilee, camouflaged as Jubilee, but throwing stones at the just married ones. You are seeing people who purported to come on the platform of handshake and fight the couple that is married, and other people who are fighting for their interests, and those are the civil servants that you've seen meeting at Lamada discussing about their succession beyond 2022. So there is a lot of description, but this whole thing describes Jubilee, and as Arnold has said, the truth of the matter is we are yet to see more. You're going to see other exhaust pipes coming up to fight this very thing called Jubilee. Okay. Yet it's very new.
Okay. Babu, your analogy of the cartoon?
I think in 2013, Jubilee, they married successfully. And now I think the marriage is in shambles. There's a split in Jubilee. There's tension, there's war. There's a lot of crisis within the Jubilee government. And there is no more Jubilee. And Osoro, when you're talking about the issue of the people who came along, I think because of their coming is Honorable Raila Molo who came, and because of his coming, a lot of ethnic tensions have been raised. A lot of, there's now a conducive environment where the Big Four agenda can be achieved, can be implemented. There's stability for economic growth. So I think his coming is a blessing to the Jubilee government itself. But I believe that those who are not interested in being within the Jubilee government, and we know the deputy president, then he can take a walk. Kenya will still go on. Okay. After all, he said that his wealth is in heaven. Then he should not fear going to heaven.
Okay, listen.
Again, it's ironical that actually Babu Owino can be commenting on Jubilee affairs. But what I can see, like my colleagues have said, there is a marriage and there's a problem in the marriage. But the canisters you see there, the exhaust and all that which are being thrown, I think are amongst the people in Jubilee. For example, Tuju, the other day we got the audio and the Murathes and the people who want to sabotage. Okay. Actually, these are people who had very little during the formation of Jubilee, who are trying to sabotage this marriage. You know, even like ideally when we have marriages, for some of us who are in marriages, during your ceremony, those people who would want to come and sabotage one of your maids and the people who are in your wedding and your friends who are actually participating in your wedding. And I think now the canisters are the Tujus, and you saw what they wanted to bring up. We had
the audio has not been authenticated.
The audio, the same time. And the Murathe, we've seen the...
Yes, they've spoken about it.
Yes, Kina Murathe have spoken about it. And
so
some...
that the noise that the marriage is going along with.
Yes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the show, and I'm giving you the last opportunity to close the show for us. So in less than a minute, Maliba, your last comment.
I had a question, but it's okay.
Can I proceed
to him?
To him. Yes. Okay, he'll respond to it as very short.
Yes.
Yeah, as the answer.
You said you saw 4 exhaust pipes on this car, in this cartoon. That looks like a work of fiction, because I didn't see any exhaust around that.
Okay, but that was his interpretation, just the same as you had yours.
That is the interpretation of a fiction writer.
Yes. You had your own interpretation. That was his. Let's go ahead.
Yeah.
Your final comment.
My final comment is, I think as a nation, probably I should start by speaking to young people that as we head to 2022, there is going to be a generational handover. The people born between 1978 and the year 2000 will be taking charge of the country. So it's only fair that young people, wherever they are, stop looking at themselves as the young people of this country, but the people of this country, because largely the other people we are pointing fingers at are giving way. And with the 3 young people that we have here today, I think we have hope. When there's disagreement and people speak their mind, they choose whatever position to stand with, it means there's growth. Okay. Otherwise, if you're going to have people who do not make decisions on their own, they do not pick different positions, then probably they are conditions and they are conditioned and they're programmed. But lastly, and more important, I want to repeat this, that if there is anyone out there who has got the designs on the deputy president, he should stop. That is stupidity, that is dangerous, and it's a game that we cannot play. Okay. 2, the president also needs to come out firm and put his house in order. All this noise we are having in this country is because the president cannot just call a parliamentary group and put his house in order.
But he has cabinet every Thursday.
If we do not know that, because the cabinet apparently it does not take care of Osoro and the others who are out here sounding like London is falling or the sky is falling. He's here sounding like the world is just coming to an end. Yeah. There are genuine concerns, but if the president, as the symbol of national unity, he should be able to come out, rein in his forces. Okay. If he called you, will you not go? But there, are you even his MP?
I'm not even his MP, so.
And okay, that's a story for another day.
Yes. First and foremost, just for the purposes of right of reply, on what he described about.
Don't begin.
No, I will not begin. Yes. But I think it does not own a car. It doesn't know the positions of the exhaust pipe.
Osoro, what good?
We cannot. No. We cannot argue about the exhaust.
Osoro, I have not eaten his goat. He must withdraw that.
To the exhaust.
No, he doesn't. Yeah. But let me say.
No. You must withdraw that.
He owns 10 cars.
Okay,
let me say.
Whose child is this?
Anyway, we are friends, and that is how we argue. There is no issue.
Yes.
The country, I think this political heat can only be stopped by one man, and that is His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya. We need to live by our words. I think why you are seeing a lot of political heat and statements and everything every now and then is because our Kenyan politics is not genuine. We saw Right Honorable Raila Odinga support His Excellency, the former President Kibaki, and when its time came, he was shortchanged. We saw Kalonzo do the same to Kibaki. Again, when his time came, he was shortchanged. We saw His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, during his campaign say, okay, fine, mine is 10, and after I finished my 10 years, we've even formed Jubilee, tuko pamoja, so we are together. It's 10, and then 10 for His Excellency, the Deputy President of Kenya. But clearly, as you've seen from the recent past, and out of the recent happenings, we are, towards, I don't know whether it's a game, but so far so good, we are thinking, and we have reason to believe that is going to be shortchanged on that promise. The only person who can, calm the political heat as currently seen is the President of the Republic of Kenya as a symbol of unity. The divisions you are seeing is about succession politics. And my message is about any person who is looking at about succession politics. You need to know that there is no eternal power. There is earth, on our earth, where we are living in this earth, there is no eternal power. You cannot be in power forever. The former President Moi was in power for 24 years, he eventually left. Kibaki was here, he eventually left. You can't be in power forever. If you're in any government position, even now, you will not be in that position forever. Do not think that by, I'm not saying that that is what is happening, but you don't think by taking other people's lives, you perhaps will hold those positions forever by any other means. There is nothing like that. You can't even live forever. We've seen powerful people, in governments be reduced to nothing and eventually passing on, and with a lot of respect to him. So we need to respect life. We need not to take this power thing too serious. We need not to waste a lot of energy in fighting one single individual with a lot of claims and focus. If you know very well he's a weak candidate, wait for him at the ballot in 2022. These infights and everything that you're seeing and, coming up with stories and, things that do not make sense will not help us as a country.
Great.
We are one country, we are one nation. Let's love each other. With or without any person, with or without having a president from your region or from a certain region.
Babu.
I think, Ken, it's quite disappointing that we as the youth, we can sit here and start attacking each other, and we need to show a good example to the youth who are outside there, the youth who also want to vie for various positions, selective positions in 2022, the youth who are yearning for unity, the youth who were killed during the post-election violence, the people who lost their loved ones. And when we brought in this idea of the handshake, Ken, it was meant to bring in inclusivity. It was meant for the idea of uniting Kenyans. And I would not blame my sister, and I would not attack my sister Millicent, by the way, I respect you so much. And the attack that I threw at you, have withdrawn it with due respect. And I believe that moving forward, these people whom we are fighting for, these are people whose time is up. Yes. It is me and you in the foreseeable future that we are going to run this nation, that we will be required to run this nation. The question is, will you run this nation with the tribal mind, with the mind that if it is not this person, then it can't be. Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga sacrificed his ambition in 2013, in 2007, 2013, and 2017. And by the way, because of the state of the nation, the way it was, because of the economy of the nation, he decided to say that I live. If it is about power, let me leave it. And he's not said that he's vying in 2022. For the sake and for the interest of the economy of the nation, for the sake and for the interest of the children who are killed, the youths who are killed, for the sake and for the interest of the youths in this nation, he chose peace.
Okay.
Thank you.
Lastly, close it for us, Mheshimiwa Omanga.
Okay, my parting shot tonight, maybe I want to start a conversation on single mothers. And maybe why is it there's a lot of negative energy towards single mothers? Why are single mothers demonized? Why is it that the system is rewarding the already advantaged the women and leaving out this bigger group? So I want to start a conversation on this million of children who are being raised by single mothers. I think it's something I'm going to engage Kenyans and maybe look forward on how, what the next step, what I need to do next, because I think it's really a thorny issue. We're having more single mothers than actually those in marriages. Okay. And unfortunately, like especially mothers with the PWDs, I've realized that when I go around Nairobi, most single mothers actually, when you get a child who's disabled, the men tend to run away. So I'm bringing up this conversation, and this is what I want to engage Kenyans.
Okay.
On the politics, I would say Jubilee is a strong party. Uhuru is a very honest man. They've worked together with Dr. His Excellency the Deputy President William Ruto from 2002. And those who think that he will drop him now, they are just selfish, wishful thinkers. He cannot do that. They are buddies.
Okay, they are buddies. A good place to end the show tonight. And let's do the final part of the show now. And the allegations of the plot against the Deputy President is not only disturbing, but also intriguing. Now, it's intriguing because no one can imagine that the CSS can plot against a Deputy President and that a DP can be intimidated by the CSS. It's also disturbing because in the year of our Lord 2019, we still talk about violent political elimination. Well, we leave this to the machinery along Kiambu Road. But even as we digest the happenings and those allegations, tonight we take you back years ago to the headlines following the elimination of politicians, some yet to be resolved or solved to date. Let's begin with February 1965. Member of Parliament shot dead. Massive manhunt follows city assassinations. Now this follows the murder of Pierre Gamapinto. July 1969, Tom Mboya shot dead. Killer at city shop escapes. This was how the death of Tom Mboya was reported. Let's move on to March 1975. Hunt for JM's killers. President deplores cruel killing. Not the cruel killing in that is actually in the headline, is actually in quotes. Now, this was the killing of then Nyandarua North Member of Parliament Josiah Mwangi Kariuki, popularly known as J.M. Kariuki. To date, and lastly, the February headline, 1990, Minister Oko goes missing. Worried family appeals for information. Minister for Foreign Affairs and National Cooperation, Dr. Robert Oko, is missing. A day later, that was the headline, Oko's badly burnt body found. Now, President Moi sends his message of condolence to the family. Just a few of the headlines of yesteryears. Many more have since been written, many more headlines. Something we would really wish to forget, and not by reading new ones. Well, this is a good place to end tonight's show. A very bad place for this country. I want to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming to the show tonight. You are a little noisy today and messy, but I want to thank you for coming and sharing your opinions, and I hope that the young parliamentarians will make a difference. Right. Thank you for watching, and thanks to my crew. Have a good night. Let's do this same time next week on Tuesday. Good night.